Hey everyone, it's Eugene here and welcome to Click 3D. Today what I'm going to be doing is a review of a new scanner. It's the Whale scanner from 3D Maker Pro. And a short time ago I was sent an email from 3D Maker Pro and they said, hey look, we've got this new scanner and we're looking for people to give us some feedback on it, maybe post some videos or whatever. And so I said, yeah, sure, I'll have a look at it. I looked at the design and kind of where it would be used and I thought it'd be kind of cool. So what I'm going to be doing today is going through this relatively new scanner. I'll show you what's in the box, I'll show you how it sort of comes together, and we'll do just a very quick scan. Now, the software that comes with the scanner has a lot of features. There's a number of different things that you can do with it. I'm not going to be getting into it all, okay? So this is kind of an introductory video, and what I'd like to do in the future is do maybe another 1 or 2 videos looking at different aspects of the software and of the scanner. Now, this is going to be an honest review, so there's going to be good things, there's going to be bad things, depending on what I find, and I'm just going to relay those back to you and kind of go from there. So what I plan to do is show you what's in the box. Then what I'd like to do is show you the scanner sort of setup, and we're going to be looking at the pattern in infrared. So I have an infrared camera, or a camera that sees in the infrared spectrum. And that's going to be important. This is a structured light scanner. It emits a certain type of pattern, and so it'll be interesting to see what it actually presents or what it's actually emitting. And then what we'll do is a very quick scan, and I've got this skull here, and we'll do that. So those 3 things I think we'll get to, and yeah, let's get right to it. So I'm going to be right back, and we'll open this case. Okay, so I've opened this already, but I'm going to show you how it came to me. It's a fairly small case, and it's a sturdy case. It's actually a really nice case. I have to give them credit on this. It's really quite nice. So yeah, this is not going to get damaged easily. And the contents, as you'll see, are going to be packaged very tightly. Okay, there's a lot of stuff in here in a very small space. So it's great, but at the same time, it's a little bit of a pain when you want to put stuff back in. You got to really cram stuff in there. So normally when you open it, like I said, I've opened this, I had all the stuff out already. I couldn't wait, so I just pulled it out. But there is a turntable that comes with this. So there's a tray here at the top, and in that tray, there's the top of a turntable. So you see it's got some letters and some texture there. It's kind of cool. And then it comes with the motorized portion of the turntable. So let me just take that out. That's right there. It has a little USB port there, so you just plug in the cable and it's motorized. It just spins and it just keeps going. There's no on or off or anything like that. It just kind of keeps spinning the object around. So yeah, but it's kind of cool. It's not heavy duty, but it's enough that, if you have to put a skull or a shoe or something like that on here, no problem. I think it would work just fine. There is a power adapter. So that power adapter is to help power the scanner. It's not a charger, it's for power. So I'm going to put that aside here. This is the cable that goes with the turntable. That's right there. So we'll put that aside. Probably not going to use the turntable today. I may save that for another video. And I'll just take this tray and put it down here. Now inside of here, we've got a couple of other things. So it actually comes with a little tripod. And so if you're using the turntable, you can set up the tripod and put the scanner up on top and just have it pointed at a specific spot on the turntable. And as it spins around, it'll fill in all those other areas. It comes with a post here, like an offset post that you can put in between the tripod head and the tripod itself. So you can get a little bit more elevation and point it down on an object if you needed to. So that's that. I'll just put this aside for a second. This is important. This is the cable that attaches the scanner. And let me do this. It attaches the scanner, and you'll see that it's a pinned connector, just like that. And it has this little wire on here, and this is useful when you want to pull it out of the scanner. And so that's kind of nice. So this goes to the scanner, and then on the other end, you'll see that I have 2. This one single cable splits into 2. And I've got 2 things here. So I've got a USB 3 connector, so that goes to your laptop. And then I've got the power plug. So basically there's a round plug on this end of the plug, and that just goes in there, just like that. And once you do that, you plug this in, and then you plug it into the scanner, and you're good to go. So that is that. There are a number of plugs that come with this thing. Oh, one fell in here. I'll have to get that out in a second. But basically, there's European style plug, there's UK style. There you have the North American style, which is what I have. So I've already got that onto the plug. But you can change it too. So you can just take this out. There's a little latch up here, and then you can pull this out. So if you're traveling and you want to bring the scanner and you're going to another country, I think that's kind of cool. You can bring the different adapters with you and use them elsewhere. Now the scanner itself, this is packed in here pretty tight, and you'll see it there. Oops, let's try that again. You'll see it in there. And if I try to lift up this scanner, okay, just like this, I got the whole case with me. Okay, so it's really snug in there. So what I've done is, whenever I take this out, I put my hand on it, take this here, and it comes right out, no problem. There's that other adapter, and put that down. So yeah, if you are gonna be messing with this, you'll find that after a while, if you try to lift this up, the whole box comes with it. So pull down the case, lift this up, and there you've got the scanner. Let's move this out of the way. Now let's talk about this scanner. So the scanner itself isn't all that heavy. It is quite, there's a little bit of weight to it, but not too bad. But it looks fairly well built. And you'll see on the side here, it's got these nice curves, and I guess that's why they call it the whale scanner. Sort of mimics a whale. It's sort of a nice organic shape. And on the back, there's some buttons. So there's a scanning button, and there's another button here that controls some of the settings, and I'll show you that in a bit. And then on the front, it's quite curious. It's got all this stuff on the front. Now, whenever you have a structured light scanner, at the very, very core, you have to have a projector, so something that's projecting a pattern, and you have to have a camera. And so I'm not exactly sure what everything is here. It's been a little difficult to get some of the technical specifications of this particular scanner, but here's my guess, okay? So this is just a guess. I think these three up here are actually cameras, and I think these might be the projectors. And normally when the cameras are close to the projector, then you can get things that are closer to you or smaller in scale, and then when you want to get something which is farther away, it'll switch to this projector down here, and then you have an offset between the cameras and the projector. So I think that is what it's for. There's these little white strips here. They look like spaces or something, but they actually look like some kind of illumination, some kind of lighting that's being given off. Now what's interesting about this is when you're scanning, you're not going to see anything. Normally with a structured light scanner that's in the visible range, you'll be able to see lights and patterns flashing and things like that. You can't see it with this particular scanner because it works in the infrared range. So I have a camera that will see in the infrared, and the first thing I want to do is hook this up, and I want to have a look at what we're seeing. What is the projected pattern, or is there anything that we can determine coming out of this thing? And that's not something that I've seen on the internet just yet, so I think it's quite useful, and we're going to get right to it. So let me get some things set up, and I am going to project the pattern, or actually I'll get the scanner set up first, and maybe I'll show you that, and then I'll get into the infrared, and we'll see what that looks like. So give me a second. Okay, back here, let me move some things out of the way so they don't get all messed up. And these are things we're not going to be using. Like I said, I'm not going to use the turntable, not going to be using these things here, so we'll just put that aside. But I do need to plug this in, so I'm going to plug in this here. And that's already plugged into the cable from before, okay, but it's pretty simple, just like that. Then I've got a USB connector there, so I'm going to put that into this laptop here right on the side. They suggest USB 3 as being what you need for that. And then I'm going to plug this into the scanner here. Now this only goes in a very specific way, and there's sort of two ears on either side of this connector, as you can see. And so it has to align like sort of in line, perpendicular, parallel with the bottom of the scanner. So I just got to find the right way, and then once I get it in there. This can be a little tricky, but once you get it, it's fine. So that almost was it. Let me try it one more time. And you see these connectors are a little funny. Anyway, it's in there, and as soon as I plug it in, I don't know if you can hear this on my mic. Maybe you can hear the noise. But it's basically the fan is coming on, and this scanner should be ready to go. Okay, what I'm going to do now is I'm going to fire up the software. So we got everything hooked up, looks okay. And I'm going to get in here, and I'm also going to record my screen. So let me get that going here. Okay, it looks like we're going here, so I'm just going to start from scratch with the software that's in here. Let me put this over on this side so you can see what that's doing. And I'm going to launch JM Studio. So JM Studio appears to be the software that they've come up with. It's a proprietary software, or it's custom made, so it's not like you're using a standard software. And you come up with this splash screen. It says, hey, do you want to open up any projects? You can see I was messing with this just earlier. I'm going to close this, and then it says, different tips and things like that. I'm going to close this window as well. And here you can see it says, keep the scanner at a certain distance or whatever. So let me quickly go through the screens and a very quick setup here, because one thing that I found is, let me go to edit mode here, and then I should be able to switch to the menus here. So first thing before you get started in the software, and this got me at the beginning, was you have to choose the right scanner. So originally I thought you just plug it in and get going. You have to go up in the file, you gotta go to settings, and then go to the scanner tab, and you'll see here it says whale scanner. So make sure that's checked. You can see that there's a Magic Swift or Magic Swift Plus scanner, and also a CR Scan Lizard. I haven't tried those before, so I don't know what they are, but this was on something else before and it wouldn't connect. Now it's connected. So I'm just gonna go apply, and I'm gonna close this. Now from here, we can start to get into the scanning. And if you just look over the software, you can see there's a whole bunch of stuff on the left side, a number of things that we can do. There are 3 main sections at the top here. There's easy scan mode. So that's when you're just holding the scanner by hand and you want to freely scan an object. Then there's table scan. So that's where you're going to be using the turntable. And then there's edit mode. So if you have a scan and you want to start deleting things or whatever, then that's where you would go there. On the right here, okay, there's this process tab, right? So there's some things that we can do there. That's after you finish and you've gathered the scan. It's what you want to do to it afterwards. I'll get to that. But for now, what we're going to be doing is going to easy scan. So I'm just going to click on that, and this should come up. Okay, so it looks like it's connected already. And you'll see on my screen I'm recording. You can see my hand. Okay. So before we jump into the actual scanning, I want to actually look at the infrared. Okay, so for that I have this camera here. So I'm going to get this sucker going, and what we're going to do is record what it is that I'm going to be able to see here. So this is actually emitting something right now, and you can't see anything, right? Like there's no lights flashing or anything. But what I'm going to do here is just let me get this going at a good distance here. Okay, that looks pretty good right there. And I'm going to turn this on and then have a look in the live view. And we're going to see what happens here. Okay, so if you have a look at that on the screen, you'll see that I'm seeing something and there's some flashing going on, okay? Now what I'm going to do is let me record this. Okay, let's see if this is going to record. Okay, I'm recording now, so this pattern that I'm seeing here, I'll put up on the screen and you'll be able to see it as well. But I'm going to move in close here. And I'm looking at the side. Now, right now, I'm set up to near mode. So I can see that there's sort of a circular pattern or an area which is more focused, and then there's sort of flashing all around. So this is an infrared because I don't see anything here. I'm going to turn this around and have a look. Okay, so now I'm looking at the front of the scanner, and I can see that it looks like there's something coming out of the top there. So that must be the projector. I'm just guessing, okay? It could be a camera and then 3 projectors, but I don't think so. And then I've got 1, 2, 3 cameras, and I don't see anything coming out of the cameras, but I do see light coming out of these little plastic areas here. So maybe there's some infrared light that's being emitted out of there just to illuminate the model a little bit more. So it's kind of interesting that they've made it in such a way that you don't see the light yourself, which is really interesting. But right now there's infrared light that's being blasted at me. So interesting. So let's do this. Let's switch this now to FAR mode. So I'm going to go in the software. I'm going to click to FAR. And let's see what happens. Yeah, you can see the projector has now changed. So you can see that there's a little bit of illumination at the bottom here where my finger is. So I think that's the projector projecting something at the bottom. It's shifted, and there's still light coming out of those 4 LEDs. And let's turn this around for a second. Let's see if we get it into the correct range. Yeah, so definitely is. So now I can look at the pattern maybe a little bit closer. Let me see if I can focus it a little bit. And so it is definitely emitting something. Now it's very difficult for me to see if there's an actual pattern being emitted here, just because it's flashing so fast. And I probably would have to get a little bit close. But actually when I look at it here, I feel like there is a little bit of some kind of a structure, or like little grids or little cubes or little things like that. So what I'll do in the software later is I'll try to freeze frame one of these, and then I'll bring it up on the screen. And then probably we'll see if there's any kind of structure, or if it looks more like a random structure. But that's really interesting. Let me switch this just back to near again. I got to move this closer to get to the proper range. It's too far, it's telling me. Okay, and let's slowly get, okay, so there we go, something like that. And that looks like it's in the proper range or distance or whatever. Move this just a tiny bit back, and that's what we got. So I think we've proven that we've got some infrared light that's coming out of the scanner. I have an 850 nanometer filter on the front of this, which means that I'm not going to see much below 850. So right around 850 nanometers and above, I'm seeing data here, which means that this might be somewhere in the range of 900. 900 is a very popular range that's used for a lot of different things. Security cameras will often use about 850 nanometers on the little ring lights that they have that they project out. So it's likely it's somewhere in that range. I don't expect it to be much lower or very much higher. Okay, so what we're going to do is a very quick scan of this skull. And I've put it on a turntable. Now I could have put it on that turntable there, but I just want to be able to go back and forth, sort of free form, in case I need to move it in different positions. So this is just going to be in the easy scan mode that's on the screen. Okay, so easy scan mode. And I'm going to be using near mode that's on this side here. So if I move this over, you'll see that I've got the skull. Now, before you scan, you should always think about what it is you're scanning, the color, the texture, and things like that, and what the scanner is actually going to be picking up. So in this case, I've got a couple of windows here that I have to look at on my screen. So I've got this one here that sort of shows me the exposure that I'm getting up on this particular object. And then at the bottom here, or sort of in the center of the screen, I should say, it's showing me what geometry I'm picking up, actually, that would be reconstructed. Now, up here is a guide, okay? So this thing here that says too far or whatever, and it shows me this little histogram, or this little distribution of points. So as soon as I move a little bit closer, it says, hey, that's excellent, right? If I get too close, you'll see that I start losing data in the center, and it starts going red up on the exposure here. So it's too bright. Okay, it's too far. As I move a little bit further back, okay, I get a lot less of the red, right? So it's not overpowering, the lights are not overpowering that particular model. I'm getting good reconstruction in 3D, and it's telling me that I'm at a really good range. So I have to think about where I am here. If I move too far back, you'll see that it says, hey, you're getting too far. You gotta get closer. And of course, if I get too close, it says you're too close, okay? And so optimally, somewhere around here is the sweet spot. So that's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna end up here. Now on the back here, there's some buttons, okay, and I think I was showing you before, okay, but there's a start stop button right here, and then there's a left and right button, a couple of arrows. Now the arrows will control the exposure. So if I hit down, you'll see that my model now is looking really dark here, okay, so up in this area, and if I go up, okay, it goes brighter, and if I go brighter again, now it's turned completely red. So it's overexposed, and you can see in the model in the center here, what it's picking up is only the exterior part of the skull. It's not picking up the main part. It's just that there's too much light being blasted at this. So I'm gonna go down one, and that seems to be a really good spot right there. So not bad. Now, if I were to go to far mode, let me go do that. I'm gonna switch to far mode. I'm gonna be way too close. So I'm gonna have to move this model farther back, and I'm gonna have to move back here, and I have to look at my histogram again. And basically it's telling me how many points that I'm picking up. Now, it's not too bad. I'm picking up some 3D points, but my exposure looks a little low. So I'm gonna pick this up a bit. And of course, you know, the farther away I get, it's gonna drop off. Okay, so now I'm seeing that the model looks a little bit whiter up here. So that's not bad. And you can see the field of view that I have, right? So I'm probably about a meter away right now, 3.5 feet, something like that. And you can see that it's, I can see up here to where my hand is, and all the way down here. So we're talking about something that's maybe 10, 20, 30 centimeters or so is what I can pick up in the field of view, up right this way, and across, we're getting something on the order of 20 centimeters or something like that. So not too bad. So if I was doing something like a tire or part of a vehicle or something like that, this would be helpful to me. I would use this far mode to pick up a little bit more detail from farther away. Good. So I'm gonna go back to near because I don't think this is what I'm gonna need for this skull. So let me go back here. Let me get a little bit closer. Something like this, like that, I think was okay. I'm gonna have to turn down the brightness. So I'm just gonna click once. That looks perfect. Okay, really good. And then up here where it says scan mode, it's saying geometry or texture. Now that has to do with how it's going to be tracking this model, because as I'm moving around, is it going to follow the geometry or is it going to follow texture? And so this model doesn't have a lot of texture. It might have enough, but I'm going to stick with geometry on this one. I think there's enough features here that it should be able to pick it up. And if it loses tracking, there's a way to pick it up, and I'll show you how that works. And there's a smoothing function here. I may turn that down a bit. Maybe I don't want to get so much smoothing. I want to keep the details. So I'll leave it at 3, and my work mode is already on near. So with that, I'm set up, and now I can get going. So let me do that right here. I'm going to make sure that my distance says excellent. Okay, now it says excellent. It's very happy. So I'm going to go down a bit, start here, and I'm just going to do 1 scan. Now, normally when you did something like this, you want to do 3, 4, 5 scans, whatever it takes to fill in all the little holes and gaps and missing pieces. So for this video, 1 scan, we're going to get right to it here. So I'm going to start like this. It takes 3 seconds or so before it pops up. And there it is. So now I'm picking up data. I'm just going to go up and down. Okay, it wants me to get a little bit closer. Great. And I'm going to start turning this around. I'm going to go up. Okay, and I'm just going to kind of go around, like up and down. Just gather all this data. Okay, like that. Go around here. Turn a bit more. I'm going to go up a bit like this. Okay, it's saying that's excellent. It's getting a lot of data. I'm going to turn a bit here, come down. And basically just doing this process. So I am not going to be getting the bottom of this. I probably should go up a bit more to get the top. Okay, point it down a bit. That may help it a bit. Okay, but there's probably going to be a little bit of a gap there. That's fine. I'm not too worried about it. And then go down. Okay, great. I got all that stuff. I'm going to move this a bit more, get this side. Okay. Come back around this side. Yeah, I got some missing data there. Now, it's possible that I can see that as I'm scanning here, I'm missing, or I've got some misaligned pieces here, and that's okay. If it's misaligned a little bit here, it's going to try and put it together in the next process. So I'm just going to leave it like this. Okay, and let me see if this, I've got that little part here where the skull is, back there. Okay, cool. I'm going to hit stop, just hit the stop button. Okay, now I need to leave it for a second because it's going to process. And it's just got to clean up all these individual frames. As I'm going around, it's basically taking little snapshots, 3D snapshots, and it kind of like puts them together as best as possible. But once I'm completely done, it does an optimization. So it takes all those individual frames and tries to clean it all up. So you can see here, okay, I've got something. This is the raw data. And okay, I've got some holes here at the top. I've got some gaps. It's not perfect. And of course on this side, so you see I didn't scan all the way on this side. Okay, so I've obviously got a little bit of problem there. But overall, you know, it doesn't look too bad. And that's the basic process for the scanning. You want to put this together. Now you'll see down here it says append or process. Now, if I wanted to add some more data to this, I could hit append and continue. I could keep this as a separate scan, do another scan, and then register or align these together in multiple pieces to make one, you know, really complete model. But for this video, we're just going to leave it like this. And I'm going to go into the processing here. And you'll see here there's a number of options. So the first one is fusion. So the fusion is going to take all those individual pieces and it's going to put them into one. So it's going to make one individual model based on all these individual frames that have been pieced together here. Then it's got here remove noise. Now this is a little tricky. The remove noise, I've had a few little issues with this, but overall it's okay. You leave that on. The third one is a little misleading because it says repair, and repair, you would think, you know, maybe I've got a bad area or something like that and I want to be able to fix it. Maybe that's what it does, but that's not necessarily true. What it ends up doing is trying to create a complete watertight mesh. And so where I have gaps, it's going to try and fill those gaps in, okay? You have to, meshing is like draping a sheet over all of these points, or like saran wrapping all of these points. And so wherever you have a space or a gap, it's going to just completely close that off. So when you have a bowl and you stick saran wrap around the whole thing, all the parts of the bowl on the bottom are fine, but the open part right? It's just gonna make a flat top. And so that's unfortunately what's gonna happen with the bottom here where I have these gaps. It's gonna try and connect these as best as it can, but probably gonna cause some anomalies or some artifacts and different things that I may not want. But for the purposes of this video, that's fine. Okay, we're just kind of demonstrating that. There's simplify. So simplify will take, if I have hundreds of thousands or millions of points, it'll take that and it'll make it simpler. It'll reduce it to a smaller model size. I'll have less polygon faces, and that's what I want. I'll leave it at 40,000 for now. And then there's texture mapping. Now I'm gonna turn this on. And we're going to give it a go and we're going to see what happens, but I'm going to highlight some things here. So let me go ahead and go process, and this is going to take a little while. It says rename my file. So my file here, I'll just call this my skull demo, something like that, and I'm going to go apply. Okay, it's the first time, and then it's going to go in and it says, well, which scan do you want to process? Well, the first one, I only have one. It says hand scan 1. So I'm just going to go ahead and say, okay, process on that one and do your thing. So at the bottom, there's like a little progress for all the little items that you have here. It's got the fusion, it's got noise, repair. I basically have everything selected right now, and that's what it's going to go through. So it will take like a couple of minutes for that length of scan. So I'm just going to wait here and have it go. Maybe I'll speed up the video or something, and then we'll come back when it's done. Okay, so you'll see right here, it gave me this texture mapping failed. So it wasn't able to complete the texture mapping. And this has happened a couple times before. So as one area of improvement, I think the texturing has to be improved or become more robust. So there's something going on here with the texture maps, and I don't know exactly what that might be. But I'm gonna hit OK. And then it says, do you wanna export the data? Well, I don't want to export this right now, so I'm just going to hit cancel, and I'm just going to look at the model itself. You'll see in the on the screen here, it's got this Fusion 0, so it's created a new model for me. I have the original data here. If I turn that back on, you'll see that's the original data. I can shut this off, and now I've got my Fusion here. And if I get in, it's not too bad. It's somewhat representative of what I've got here, and I don't want to get too critical at this point, but not too bad. At the at the top where I had some of those holes, it did a pretty good job. At the bottom here, though, so you'll see what it did here. So it caught some of this part of the skull, it caught this part at the front, and it tried to attach it together to make a closed volume. Now this is useful if I want to make a 3D print, because right now this would be ready to print because it's completely closed. I would need to do some other little tweaks or whatever. Like I can see there's some like little anomalies on the nose, right? It spikes something, and there's actually a hole here. So you can see on the model, it's wide open. That's the nasal aperture, I guess, and it tried to close that up. And so, it created some funny things here. Now I can go into the editing tools. There's things that I can do to improve this, but this just gives you a general idea of the modeling or the scanning process and how you refine it. And I can always go back to the original and I can shut some things off. So I can say, hey, don't repair this or don't remove noise, take the simplification and don't simplify it as much. A whole bunch of things that I can play with to try and get the best result possible. So that's nice. You can always go back and try to do some other things with it. But that's pretty much it, and that's what I want to do right here. I just want to pause and say thanks to 3D Maker Pro for sending this. I'm going to be doing some other videos after I get a little bit more communication with them, because there's some other things that I'd like to find out about the scanner and what it does and capabilities. I think there may be some improvements in the tracking. I didn't have too many problems here, and it was actually pretty good at recovering, but I'm wondering if there's some things that could be done there. Texturing for sure, and this one it didn't give me an error, and that's fine, it happens. Remember, this is a new product too, so there's going to be room for improvement and new things, new upgrades in software and things like that as time goes on. So I think it's only going to probably get better from here. Now, this scanner, in terms of the size and flexibility, the other thing you have to remember here is, the scanner size is great. It's small. It's great for smaller objects and such, but it's also not wireless, right? So you're tethered with this wire, and so this is pretty much it, which is not a lot of room to move. So I would have to have an extension on the plug, and I would need a USB 3 extender or something like that to give me an extra meter, 2 meters, whatever it is that I need if I have to move around something that is slightly larger. It's tethered to your laptop too, which means that you have to bring your laptop if you want to move around, and it's really useful to see what it is that you're scanning or while you're scanning. So a lot of that means that you have to be in a little bit of a controlled environment. This may be better suited to a lab or like a shop or something like that, where you have all these things at your disposal. Now, there is nothing saying that you can't take the laptop and the scanner with you someplace, no problem. But having it outside, in sunlight, really bright sunlight and things like that, there may be some other issues there that I would have to test first to see if it's really functional outdoors, especially on a bright sunny day. The scanner is going to be competing with sunlight, and so that may be causing some other issues as well. Anyway, I'm going to leave it at that. I think that's a good introductory video on the whale scanner. Looks quite promising. It's a nice design. Comes in a great case. They give you a number of little features. And one thing I haven't talked about is the price. Now, I've seen this at some different price points depending on which package you get. And I've seen 3 main packages, sort of like a base package that comes with just a scanner, and then there's the next package which comes with the turntable and things like that, and then there's other packages which come with additional accessories and bells and whistles and stuff like that. Now, most of this is coming in at around the $7,000 range, which is really good for a scanner of this caliber and this kind of detail that I'm getting. If you were to look at similar scanners in this class, you could be paying $10,000, $15,000, even more than $20,000, depending on what it is that it does, the brand, the manufacturer, whatever. And maybe on another video, I'll get into that too, maybe making some comparisons about what they can do. But for now, it looks like a promising scanner. You can see that the geometry that we're getting is quite nice. It's reasonable for a whole bunch of different uses. Now, I haven't been able to check the accuracy per se. They do state that it has quite a high accuracy. Like 0.5 millimeter or something, or I should say 0.5 millimeters, but there's no way for me to check that really right now. All I can say is that the data looks pretty good, the scanner looks pretty good, the price point is pretty good. There are some things you're going to have to live with. It's not a full-featured software package. It's not fully comprehensive where it gives you all the controls. I think they're trying to make it easy for people to scan, but overall, not a bad deal. So I'm going to leave it at that. Let you all go. Thank you very much, everybody. We'll see you next time. Bye-bye.